What's going on? I'm JBo.
I'm Yoshi.
We host the morning show. Colin wants to introduce herself. We host the morning show on Boost 1019 in St. Louis. Right now we're hanging out with Boost artist Hollyn.
Hi guys, how's it going? He's acting like I'm here every morning in St. Louis.
Yeah. Where are you coming from right now?
Right now, my husband and we live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So
that is what's up. What is what's up? So you may be familiar with Hollyn. We played various songs. You won't, Love with Your Life, Lovely, and the list goes on and on and on. So you said you're right now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but at one point, like you were, in Nashville. So
yeah, crazy story. Without going into too much detail and taking up too much time, we felt in our heart that we were going to move away from Nashville about 8 months after we got married. So my husband and I got married on New Year's Eve 2018. So we were in Nashville from January to August, I think, and just really felt like we didn't have a strong enough community in our eyes, like spiritually, really. We didn't have a church that we felt, hey, we're called to this place. We didn't really, Nashville's super transit city, so it's kind of like everyone's always moving in and out, which is great. That's awesome. But we just felt like our hearts were wanting something more. And Nashville was my home for 5 years. And so we kind of looked at each other and said, hey, by the end of the year, if we're feeling like we need to go somewhere else, then let's do that. Let's pray about what that looks like. So basically, in August, I got a DM from Mike Todd, who's the pastor at Transformation Church here in Tulsa.
Sliding into your DMs, huh?
What? Yeah.
Sliding into your DMs. He's like, hey, I got a question for you.
Hey, yeah, I may or may not have thrown my phone across the room. But I was so stoked because, Dylan and I, we're in a very different season of life than most people our age, I feel like. And it's hard to find friends that share the same passion and heart for what we're passionate about. Yeah. And we just felt like super isolated where we were at. And so TC was a big, big comfort for us because every Sunday, we would get online and we would watch church there. So it felt like we were part of like TC Nation, and every single sermon series or worship or whatever that would go on, for me especially, it would just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And things that I wouldn't even, tell anybody about, just felt like I was getting read like a book. So it was very special to my heart. And then we kind of had a meeting with my team in August of that year and said, hey, I feel like we're going to be doing mainstream festivals. That's where we're going. We're doing this. This is, what God is asking us to do, to transition here. And then also I feel like I'm going to start to do more of like conferences at, in the church, like worship, not so much Christian music. Mm-hmm. Very like worship side things as well, just as myself. And then literally a week later, I got a DM from Mike Todd and he was like, hey, we need one more person on our worship team for the conference, our first conference we're having. Would you want to come? And I didn't know him from Adam. Like there is no way that he would have known who I was. I mean, maybe I know now that he like knew kind of some songs that I'd released in the past, but it was so crazy. So, and we had been on a tour a few months before and we happened to be in Tulsa on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So me and my husband got to go to TC and we're like, dude, if we lived here, this is like the best church in the world. And, obviously didn't feel like we were going to move to Tulsa. Like why move to Tulsa?
Well,
and so anyway, crazy. So
that's the thing too. Like you said, Nashville is such a transit. Real quick, people who are now watching who are like, what's going on? So it's Friday Live with Boost artist Hollyn. Of course, ask your questions. We're gonna play a game. We're gonna ask some questions. We're gonna have Hollyn do a couple songs. So make sure you put your questions in the comments. We can go ahead and get to those as well. But that's the crazy thing is that Nashville is such a transit place, like you had said, to then go to Tulsa. Like, did you experience culture shock?
In the best way ever. I don't like when people ask me what I'm doing all the time. And not because it's like the people asking me. It's like there's this pressure already if you have any sort of voice to feel like it easily can come in and go, you have to be this way. Here's the expectations for yourself. And you can put on this coat of pressure instead of putting on this coat of I'm going to rest in who I am. And whether you like it or not, this is who I am. I have peace with God. That's cool what you think about me. Yeah. But in Nashville, for me, Nashville was very when I lived there was very formative for me. The formative years of, transitioning out of my own household, moving in to my own place, starting a business, all this stuff. And when I really was supposed to be a kid, I was working. And I just felt like the minute that I moved to Nashville was all about like what I could do for people and what I should be doing and like writing and working. And that's so exciting. But then the other side of me was like, I just kind of want to be friends with people and want to have happy and want to like be home for more than 2 days at a time. Yeah. So for me, my heart, anybody that knows me is in my like inner circle knows that I love nurturing and I love being in a place that is peaceful, and I do love traveling as well, and I love what I do. But at the end of the day, if I can't come home and feel this sense of, okay, here I am. This is like my people. This is my place. I haven't done that for a long time. So us moving here was unreal, and we were already going to move anyway. So to go back to that, story, we were already going to move to a different city. And then when we came to Tulsa to do the conference, literally from stage, he had no idea that we were doing this. Mike said, hey, there's someone in here that's going to move to one city, but you're supposed to be somewhere else. And when he said that, my husband and I were like, oh, that was weird. Like,
okay, Holy Spirit, I need you to relax. Holy Spirit.
Okay. So there's just been that whole 3 days we were there was like confirmation after confirmation after confirmation of like, maybe we should move here. I don't know. Like genuinely, because the place we were going to go was like, that would be dope too.
Right.
So we just kind of had to make a decision like, where do we want to go?
Right.
And what's the pros and cons of both? And then we just ended up saying, yes, we're going to move here. And then when we said yes, literally we got a house like the next day that someone's like, hey, we want you to have this house. Like we'll pay for your costs until you can move here. Just crazy stuff. So yeah, it's been a blessing. I love it. It's the best to me right now because
that's awesome.
We love it here.
Well, we appreciate you just sharing that with us because I think that's a word in itself where when we have plans for something, but yet we want to be honoring and obedient to like what the Holy Spirit's calling us to do and what God's asking us to do, like things will totally fall into place. Like with you being a transformation, with you, like, you and Dylan, your husband, getting a house and it being paid for. And I know that when you took this interview, you were looking forward to hanging out with us just because you want to have real honest conversations. We also want to play a game with you.
Okay.
That.
I love games. I love games.
Okay, good.
All right,
this
cool.
game is called Word Blurk. And what you have to do is we're going to say a word, and as fast as you can, you say the first thing on your mind in response to that word.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? You let me know.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
I can totally feel it.
Okay. I'm such a processor. I'm like, let me think about that. Yeah, okay, I'll do my best.
Okay. The first word is transform.
Transformers, the movie.
Amazon.
The first one?
Yeah, I don't know.
All of them. Next word, Amazon.
Fit Aid, because I buy those drinks from there. This is so bad.
The next one is Instagram.
Too much.
Yeah. Same. All right. This is the very last one. You are killing it so far. The last word, blurt word is baking.
Ooh, lemons.
Wait, what? Why
Lemon?
lemons?
Baking, I always make this lemon cake, and whenever I think about baking, you need lemons all the time. I'm telling you, there's always something that has lemon in it. But no, I've been baking a lot, and that's like one of the main things. So that's what I thought of.
Okay. All right then. All right. So currently you sing worship at Transformation Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And I actually watch Transformation Church online as well. Now, a few weeks ago, there was like this whole entire revival that just kind of, it wasn't meant to be this revival. Okay. It was like 2.5 hours of just like nonstop worship. And that was just obviously in the moment with y'all as well as I was watching. But I also thought to myself, what is Hollyn thinking at this very moment? Because that was like 2.5 hours of like nonstop. Besides, I'm tired. What else were you thinking in that very moment?
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's been something stirring for ever since we moved here. I mean, even before that, you can ask anybody on that staff that's been there longer, that's been in the trenches, that's been obedient and had faith to believe for things. I mean, they've been in it. I feel like I'm reaping the benefit of, I've been in my own trenches, but like lining up and then coming together. We all have the same heart and we've been through similar things, just not the same story, but similar encounters with, and just being on the stage is an honor, honestly. And I'm not, on staff there or anything, but my husband and I go. And so anytime that they ask me to be a part of anything, it's, an immediate yes, because I know that what they carry, and I feel like what I carry is kindred. And obviously it's the same spirit, but it just feels like home. Yeah. And so I've really learned a lot about myself and a lot about worship from being on the team, and Destiny being the worship pastor, and my friend Charles, who's the creative pastor there, and even Pastor Mike, and just everyone on staff is so willing to yield to what happens in the moment. Nobody, we plan, we come ready for excellence, and anybody that watches the services know that it's excellent. They do their very best to portray like, hey, this is how we want to represent Christ to the lost and the found. And for me, honestly, like being on that stage every time is like, okay, I want to be well prepared and know my parts and all of this stuff, because it's pretty complex. We do a lot of crazy arrangements, and but at the end of the day, it's like having that heart posture, like, hey, God, what do you want to say? Do you want me to be silent during this time? How, just authentically worshiping. And sometimes you can get in your head when you're up there, because we were actually recording. We recorded a few services in one day, and then they translate different every time. So like if we were going, hey, we're going to record the service for June 4th, when we got up there for June 4th, it felt different. Like, oh, okay, this is what God wants to say on June 4th. And so that day was just like, man, okay, God, we're just going to kind of go with what you're saying. And everyone had, something different on their heart, whether that was singing or worship, or it was just awesome to be on stage. And it's tiring, but physically, but after you're done, it just feels like, oh my gosh, I laid everything that I put out there. And I think it's important to know too, like, I don't know. I feel like there's this element to worship and being on stage where you don't have to feel like you're in this all the time, because it comes in waves. Like, but it's not our job to make you feel something. That's God's job. You know what I mean? Not to feel something, but to bring healing, to bring reconciliation, to bring just this sense of, God, I'm aware that you're here. Yeah. What do you want to say to me? And that looks different for everybody. So it's just an honor, honestly, to be a part of what they're doing at the church. And I just love being on that stage and with those people. Every single one of those people are so incredibly gifted and talented, and their spirit is just so contagious. So yeah, it's just it's great.
That's what's up.
So a quick side question. You said that you record multiple services in one day. Do you have to go like change outfits real quick for like the next week?
Yeah. So it kind of determines it. Well, because just with everything that's going on in the world right now, just with, the racial injustice and like all of this craziness that's happening, like last week, we had a service already pre-recorded on the worship side of things, but we didn't use that. They came in and did a live worship service. So we're very like, okay, what's going on?
Right.
Let's make sure that we're doing the appropriate thing that we need to do so that we're relating to the heart of the nation, to the heart of our church. But yeah, like we actually recorded like a few services in one day. And so we would, rehearse the day before, 2 days before, and then kind of switch out and have a break for 30 minutes, change your clothes, kind of reposture yourself. And it's the same really as, getting to go back every week because it just feels different. Like when you change your clothes, when you get up there and you go, okay, God, what's this going to look like? So that's pretty dope. And then also just being able to be home and watch the service and like be like with your family worshiping too. That's been really, really cool. So yeah, it's the costume flip kind of thing. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So now,
hair, make sure you do what you gotta do.
so now, in addition to singing on Sundays, you're still doing solo music. And earlier this year, you had a tour called By Sad Girl, and it was going to go all over the nation, including even St. Louis, but it got canceled. So I was wondering, how did you deal or cope when it got canceled?
I was okay with it. At this point in my life, I am so okay with whatever happens. My expectations were I was disappointed because I love getting to see people and doing, my own shows and building that brand, that fan base on a practical level. But honestly, I think I needed the rest. And a lot of changes have happened with my team this year as well. So I think just being able to stop and reflect on, hey, what do I need during the season? And maybe that's not being on the road. And I know, obviously there's a pandemic or whatever you want to say. I mean, I don't really know what's going on with it right now, but that's, it's important to stay sensitive to that as well. And so we just wanted to keep everybody safe and to just make sure, because we had no idea at the time, hey, what's this going to do? How's this going to affect us long term? But I'm glad that we decided to cancel the shows. And I'm just really looking forward to doing shows with even, new stuff down the road that we can create experiences for people. And that's the thing. We just want to be well prepared when we do go into those environments and just bring joy to people, honestly, and be able to communicate with them there through the music. But yeah, it was disappointing for sure. I mean, I was looking forward to going out to California, especially, and even St. Louis, and being able to to do those shows. But we got to do one in Kansas City, and it was really special. But yeah.
Based on the things that you're saying and just everything from leaving Nashville, moving to Tulsa, finding a peace and acceptance with even like the tour being canceled. It seems like obviously you're super mature for someone your age. I think you probably get that a lot just because I think some people would have addressed everything just different, how things have been happening, probably would have been bummed. You're at peace with who you are as a person. And I mean, it's very telling just from the way you speak and how you are talking about everything that you went through. Now, with that being said, good thing you are at peace with who you are as a person, because you as Hollyn have evolved. Like your music has evolved, your style has evolved, and there's been some pushback from people. And you laugh because you know that's so true. There's been some pushback from people. I think if you were not at a place of peace, you would probably not be okay with that. But how did you manage to deal with that pushback?
I have learned that one of the greatest gifts that I feel like God has given me, and is very humbling and also very crippling if you don't know how to handle it, is empathy. And empathy goes hand in hand sometimes with this little evil bug called people pleasing. And for me, I've had way too many times where I've known what I wanted to say, I've known how I wanted to do it, why I want to do it.
Mhm.
And I vocalized that, and it's been shot down because I don't have enough experience. She doesn't know what she's talking about,
Mhm.
which is, hey, whatever. But the older I've gotten, the more determined I've been to humbly approach everything that I do with this sense of vision and confidence, and saying, hey, I welcome your opinion, but I don't need your opinion. I welcome your opinion, but your opinion of me does not define who I am. And I really have to wrestle with that sometimes because I get very passionate about why I do what I do. And I think the last 5 years of my life, especially the last 3 years, have been completely polar opposite than what I've been perceived as. So a lot of people know me as this girl that, from Alone, In Love with Your Life, and Tell Me Back, which is great. That was an amazing beginning of my journey, but really none of those things represent me. But when I look into the mirror, when I look into my soul, what I see, and what I feel like I'm called to. And so what it's been to unlearn how to please people. And it's been more of, hey, God, what is going to bring me the most joy? Because when I'm healthiest is when other people are going to experience whatever God's given me to the fullest capacity. So if I'm crippling myself or going, yeah, that's fine, we can let that slide, or, oh, yeah, well, I wanted to do it this way, but really we ended up doing it that way. It's just going to create this like jadedness in my heart. And I've really had to wrestle that down with the Lord. And, I'm really passionate about bringing comfort and peace to people through their process. And for me, when I first moved to Nashville, I didn't really have anybody to process with. And I processed a lot just me by myself. And there would be people that would come in and out of seasons that God brought to me, and I was so grateful for. But at the end of the day, I was just kind of making music because I felt like, one, I had to, and I wanted to, but I didn't really know how to respectfully say what I was feeling without feeling like people were looking at me like, well, where's Jesus in that?
Right.
He's all over it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but just as I'm talking, there's so many different tangents and points I could go off of. But I think what's so important is to know and to be aware of yourself, because God speaks in all the ways that we feel like he doesn't, or we've been taught to that he doesn't. He speaks through our emotions. He speaks through our thoughts. He speaks through even the opposite of those things, like the lies that come in. Even yesterday, I, was going for a run, and the whole time I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. I will always be mediocre. No one's ever going to see what, I'm capable of. And I feel like I've kind of been incubated for a long time, because, I've just been learning about my character and who God is. And I felt like after that run, I got home and I was so upset. And I just said, God, I need you to tell me like what you think of me in this moment. And he said, I actually think the opposite of what you're telling yourself. Yeah. And I think it's so important that we're aware of our thought life and our emotions, because that all manifests itself in our bodies, and even what we take in and we put out, it all ties together. And so if we cut off one area, if we cut off our thoughts and we're like, it doesn't matter what I think.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Let's just let those things go. If we don't rein those in, if we don't ask God to help us with those thoughts, it's going to bring destruction to the way that we speak, to the way that we handle our platform, to how we act out in private. And so for me, I believe every single part of our life needs to be talked about. And it doesn't have to be 100% detail, but it can be 100% true. And so that's what I write about. And so with my music, I don't necessarily feel like it's for people who have an open heart. Okay. And if you have an open heart and you're a Muslim, or if you have an open heart and you're an atheist, or if you have an open heart and you don't even know where you're at with the Lord, or if you're a Christian or whatever you are, whoever you are, then that's what the music's for. And so I think there's a lot of people who are afraid of that and say, well, it has to look this way and be this way. But it doesn't. Yeah. I think as a creative and just as a human being, get alone with God and ask him what his character is and what his thoughts are and his feelings are about about somebody or about something before you go and have this prejudgment about them. So
Good.
that's kind of where I'm at with my music, and honestly just unapologetic about it now, and not in a way that's like, forget you, like
Right.
it's like, no, I'm cool. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to be on this massive stage and exalted for making these songs. Like I'm just gonna make the songs and live my life first and foremost
Yeah.
in a way that I feel peace about with God and with my family and with my friends and my husband,
Gotcha.
and everything will flow from that.
Yeah.
So I've had to rewire all of my thought patterns and my feelings and all this stuff, and just kind of, you know, find the truth in all of that. So
Well, I appreciate it. I know I can't. I don't want to speak for JBo, but I know we all appreciate what you do. With, you know, I've heard it said, you know, some people talk about the light and some people talk about what they see because of the light. And I think both perspectives are needed, because I mean, we need all those perspectives.
Yes, absolutely. And I respect and honor people who feel called to the church specifically. I am the church, but I don't feel called to the church. I feel called to, I honestly feel like it's a both and thing for me.
We're all the church, like all of them. Yeah.
But so many people, like, I feel roll their eyes when, you know, I say that, and that's okay. But I feel like I love culture. I love fashion. I love art. I love people. I love genuine people. I love getting in the grit and asking people why they feel the way they do. Why do you feel that way? Yeah. And there's a lot of times in the church where, and I think it's so much better now, but there's a lot of times with religion where they shut that off and they go, no, this is how you should be. No, this is how it should be. No, this, nope, don't even. And you're like, I just want to talk. I just want to talk to you. Like, I never been alone with God. And he goes, nope, you can ask me that. So that's how I'm like, okay, I'm going to literally represent who God is to my generation and beyond that. And that's what I'm going to do. And so I kind of at a point where I'm like, I don't really care if you don't like it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't care if I don't make any money doing it.
Right.
I don't need to, you know, I don't need to do shows that I don't agree with. I'm just going to be cool.
So now, talking about music, and I think a lot of people have this question, including myself.
Yes.
Are you currently working on new music? And if so, what has inspired you lately?
So I actually have a single that we're coming out with hopefully this month. Just with everything going on, I just want to stay sensitive. I don't want to promote something that's my own agenda that doesn't fit with where the nation is at right now. Right. But it's coming out at the end of the month. I think we're going to be okay. If not, it'll come out and I won't really promote about it until it feels right. But we have a song coming out hopefully June 26th. So that's really exciting. It's a song that I actually wrote like 4 years ago. We just produced it, and it was just like a song that never made one of my projects. So that's exciting. And then I actually have a full-length record that is almost done. It's probably the best, most genuine.
You've been working.
Yeah. The most genuine version of me that I think anyone's ever going to hear up to this point in my life. So me and my friend wrote, recorded, did the whole thing. Just me and
my friend.
Well, it was supposed to come out sooner, but I'm not really sure, honestly, at this point. So there's a couple things that we need to sort out before it comes out. But I really hope that it comes out this year. If not, it'll be early 2021, I hope. I don't know. 2020 is looking crazy right
Listen.
Yeah, I don't know. But I would love it to be out yesterday.
True.
So, but yeah, we're just kind of staying in this pocket of like, okay, we need to put this out, but we want to just be obedient, because we know when we're obedient, it's like doors open that you didn't even think were possible to open. I'm very excited about that record. I think it's going to change my life.
Awesome.
I'm very excited about it, and I know it will. Actually, it's it's powerful. Every song on that record is like, we had a hard time picking singles for it because every song on there is like, this could be the single. No, this could be a single. I don't know. This could be so. But we're very excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the truth is, like, everybody who's watching right now, if you have questions, put them in the comment sections. We'll get to those, of course. But everyone who is watching, anybody who is anybody,
Right.
agrees with the statement that like 2020 has been crazy from
For
January
sure.
1st to today. It's just been bananas. And we went through a pandemic or COVID, which is still happening. But there's been a pandemic that has been affecting our country for decades, you know, and we're seeing and acknowledging what happens when we don't address racism. And the pandemic I am referring to is racism. So as Christians, how do we play a role in racial reconciliation?
Yeah, I actually wrote down a couple of my thoughts right before I jumped on here because this is so sensitive to talk about
right
now. And I, as a white female, do not want to jump on this thing of like, I know what I'm going to say. Like, I just want to be very sensitive. So before I even share any of my thoughts, I just want to clarify that I'm learning and growing as all of this injustice is taking place as well. So I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to. And I'm looking forward to understanding more about Black culture because honestly, a lot of my friends and people that I consider my family are Black. And I, as a 23-year-old white female who I wasn't raised in a home that was racist at all, like very inclusive, but I did grow up in an area that was predominantly white. And so up until I was probably 18 years old, I wasn't really like integrated into having like friends or family members or anything that was outside of kind of my community.
Right.
So I'm really learning that racial reconciliation starts in your home.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've been just feeling and seeing as I'm on social media every day and taking breaks a lot because I'm feeling the weight of what my friends have been feeling for oh my gosh.
Right.
I've been feeling this weight and it starts in honestly just having uncomfortable conversations with people that don't look like you, that don't act like you, that don't sound like you, and who may even disagree with you. Because I think setting a righteous standard in your home of, hey, this is not how God intended us to act as brothers and sisters. And we're all equal in the eyes of God, and we should be treated that way. Right. And so I've just honestly been very angry and have just asked God and lamented over how he feels about it. Like I've had to get alone and go, God, how you must be absolutely heartbroken over this. And just allowing him to let me feel that and just doing the best I can to talk and ask questions and check on my friends who are going through this. And I just, I recognize that it's so overwhelming for the Black community and for my friends. And I'm just trying to do my best to understand and to learn and to practically do things, not just post on social media, but hey, there's a lot of different things that are going on right now. A lot of different, I know a lot of different politicians and members of, your local government that people are calling and saying, hey, we want justice for George Floyd. Hey, we want justice for Breonna Taylor, for Ahmaud Arbery, for all of these Black lives that have been taken because of the police brutality. And it just is crazy to watch peaceful protests end in violence. And I saw a 75-year-old white man on the street the other day get pushed to the ground and for no reason walking down the street and like his head, like there's a puddle of blood around his head on the concrete. What is going on? It just feels like, it doesn't feel like land of the free, home of the brave. It feels like you don't have rights to peacefully protest. You don't have a right to speak your mind. And if you do, you're going to get tear gas. I mean, so
which is crazy.
Yeah, tons of information coming in every day on how we can help and how we can fight alongside each other, not just.
Yeah. And something that you had said, as Christians seeking to learn about just what's going on in Black culture, but also wanting racial reconciliation. Something you said was conversations start at home, and then you start friending people who don't look like you so that you can learn their stories, so that it's not just your beliefs are not just based on what you are hearing in the news or what so and so has an opinion about, but it's experiences, because we can pull all these datas and everything, but at the end of the day, like you had said, all of this right now is breaking God's heart.
I mean, how does it feel in St. Louis right now for you guys? I mean, even for you, how does it feel to be in this state of mind? I mean, I can't.
To answer your question in regards to like St. Louis, there had been peaceful protests, just like there has been rioter and looters, people loitering and doing all that stuff. There was a protest last night that was very peaceful, so that was nice to witness. It was nice to be like, okay, there's good that comes out of this. I do believe that. People are obviously talking about it. I think everybody in the world's talking about it. I'm hopeful because there's conversations that are being had. I have had friends who've reached out to me, and just real quick, because we're kind of running short on time, we'll move on to the music. But as far as the question you asked about how am I dealing with it, I share this with Yoshi all the time. It's exhausting because yes, I'm doing all this social. Of course, you have to make sure you have your thoughts and your words together when you're talking about it on the radio, and everybody's gonna like what you have to say. But
there's so many filters you have to have.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's God asking us to do? And He's asking us to seek justice, to stand up for the oppressed. Like, He's asking these things as Christians. I'm Puerto Rican, and to be honest, I was raised in Orlando, Florida, where it's a huge melting pot. And until about 5 years ago, when I moved to St. Louis, I thought racism did not exist because I was so like in this bubble of we're all doing our thing, no big deal. And then I came to St. Louis and I started having more conversations with friends who were African American. I listened to their experiences. I met my husband, Archie, who's African American, and he taught me a lot. I mean, everything, it is a lot. And I've learned a lot. And in conversations with other people, I then started to realize, oh, there's things that I did deal with in Orlando and everywhere else. I just didn't know. Like, it was me suppressing, but also not aware.
Yeah, you got to till the soil of your heart and go, what thoughts, what feelings am I having right now?
Right.
And are those in alignment with justice?
Yeah.
And if not, God, rewire how I think,
right.
Rewire how I feel, because a lot of it is just passed down and taught. You're taught to be a bigot. You're taught to be to hate,
to have prejudice, to have ideas, or to not know.
Right. So, yeah, it's a lot, but I think this is the perfect moment to lean in and engage, because I believe that God wants to break this over our country. And I saw someone post the other day, I mean, the Israelites were in captivity for 400 years, and I believe, I could be wrong about this, but someone posted the other day the verse about, at the end of their 400 years, the Israelites were set free from captivity. And I believe this is the 401st year since, I don't know if it was the beginning, but something about how the Black community and culture have been like in this cycle for 400 years. And it's like, man, how it just feels like this holy uprising right now, like even different than in the past. It just feels like this, something is happening like in the spirit. And I believe that, there's more than just the practical things that are going on. I believe that God wants to break this, obviously spiritually, over this nation and over our homes and our cities. And I'm just proud to watch people band together and believe in something peacefully as well. And I know there's riots and all kinds of stuff going on, but I'd rather focus on what's going right now. Like there's so much happening, and I'm just really, really incredibly proud of my friends and people who are standing up for what is right and for justice.
Well, we thank you so much for making time to like talk about everything, even what racial reconciliation looks like for Christians. Like, that is not something that's easy to talk about. It's not something that's it's not easily received either. But it does break God's heart. This whole division breaks His heart, And so I believe it's supposed to start with us as Christians. Like, how do we go about dealing with the situation? So just thank you for even be willing to talk about that. Are you still up for playing a couple songs? I know we're kind of short on time, but
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do a song from my By Sad Girl EP. It's called "I Feel Bad for You," and yeah, it's 10:55 in the morning here. So
Let's do it.
Get up at this time? No, I'm joking. Not joking, kind of. Here we go. I remember when you used to make me upset. I cried for hours sitting on my front steps. I tried to think of ways that we could make it work. We could make it work. Now I wake up in the morning, all I do is laugh. You can hit my phone up, but I ain't calling back. No, we both know you crazy. You keep trying to chase me, ain't no point in that. Yeah, 'cause I'm off the ground, higher up than I was when you were holding on to me, babe. Holding on to me, yeah. Yeah, you're probably listening, but let me make it clear that this ain't no apology, no apology. And yeah, baby, it's toxic, nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. Yeah, baby, it's toxic and nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. I remember when you used to make me upset. I cried for hours sitting on my front steps. Try to think of ways that we can make it work. We can make it work. Right? Now I wake up in the morning, all I do is laugh. You can hit my phone up, but I ain't calling back. No, we both know you crazy. You keep trying to chase me, ain't no point in that. Say, 'cause I'm off the ground, higher up than I was when you holding on to me, babe. Holding on to me, yeah. Yeah, you're probably listening, but let me make it clear, babe. This ain't no apology, yes. Yeah, baby, it's toxic and nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. Yeah, baby, it's toxic and nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. Moving on, yeah, I'm going all the way for me. Moving on, yeah, I'm going, you can wave to me. Moving on, yeah, I'm going all the way for me. You can wave to me, you can wave. Now I wake up in the morning, all I do is laugh. You can hit my phone up, but I ain't calling back. No, we both know you crazy. You keep trying to chase me, ain't no point in that. Say, 'cause I'm off the ground, higher up than I was when you holding on to me, yeah. Holding on to me. Yeah, you're probably listening, but let me make it clear, babe. This ain't no apology, yeah. Yeah, baby, you're toxic, nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. Yeah, baby, you're toxic, nobody can stop it. I feel bad for you. Moving on, yeah, I'm going all the way for me. Moving on, yeah, I'm going, you can wave to me. Moving on, yeah, I'm going all the way for me. You can wave to me, you can wave back.
Hey,
You sure it's only 10:55 in the morning?
10:55 in the morning.
Man, your voice still has some
people in the comments
to it.
are going crazy right now. That was, you know what, man? I call you man, but that's, you know what I mean.
We're buddies like that. It's okay.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. Like we appreciate you for making time. You still have your guitar out, so I don't know. You have something else in mind? Are you good or?
Oh, I don't know. If we don't have time, no worries.
Yeah, we are all set with time, but we appreciate you so much for making time to talk to us, especially if you're usually waking up around this time.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't.
So we thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and I'm looking forward to just seeing what your project is going to be like, just with your how you have evolved. And yeah, girl, just keep making your music for you.
Thank you guys. Thank you for the conversation, and thank you to everyone watching in the comments. And yeah, love you guys, and hope you guys just have a great rest of your week. I guess weekend.
Yeah,
Coming up.
weekend.
Weekend.
Bye, Hollyn.
We'll see
Bye.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. JBo Yoshi, the Boost Morning Show on Boost 1019. We appreciate you so much. I hope you enjoyed this Friday live. Of course, if you listen to Boost, you can listen on the app. If you've never heard of us, you can find that app at what is it, Apple Play, Google Play?
All of them.
All of them. And it's free with a free app. Get the app, put it on your phone. You can also go to boostradio.com. We appreciate you. Other interviews as well are on our YouTube page, youtube.com/boost1019. We are out. Peace.